Let's be real. Most people are reactive. They snap, they panic, they let their emotions drive their decisions. And guess what? That's exactly why they stay stuck. You know what I'm talking about. That moment when something goes wrong and instead of staying in control, you explode, you say something you regret, you make the situation worse. And later, you feel like an idiot. Here's the truth. Your emotions are not the problem. Your lack of control is. The way you respond to stress, to conflict, to uncertainty, it's all conditioning. And if you don't train your mind to stay calm, life will keep running you over. But there's good news. You can rewire this. You can train yourself to stay grounded no matter what. And when you do, everything changes. Your decisions get sharper. Your relationships improve. You stop being a prisoner of your own reactions. Here's how you do it. If you can control your breath, you can control your mind, period. Think about the last time you were under pressure, maybe in an argument, facing bad news, or feeling overwhelmed by life. What happened? Your heart raced, your chest tightened, your mind spun out of control, and without even realizing it, your breathing changed. It became short, shallow, and fast. That's not random. That's your nervous system flipping into survival mode. It's your body preparing for a threat, even if the only danger is an uncomfortable conversation or an email that pissed you off. Here's where most people go wrong. They let that reaction take over. They let their breath control them, which means they let their emotions control them. And once that happens, logic, patience, and clear thinking go out the window. But if you can control your breath in that moment, everything shifts. It's science. Your breath is directly connected to your nervous system. When you slow it down, your brain gets the signal that you're safe. The stress hormones stop flooding your body, your heart rate steadies, your mind clears, and suddenly you're not just reacting, you're thinking. You're choosing how to respond. This is what elite athletes do. It's what military personnel train for. They don't just rely on talent or toughness. They master control over their breath so they can stay calm under pressure. Because when your breathing is steady, your mind is steady. So how do you actually train this? Simple. You practice when it doesn't matter. So you're ready when it does. Right now, take a deep breath in through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold it for 4. Now exhale slowly for 6. Do it again and again. Feel that? That's your nervous system settling. That's your brain coming back online. The key is consistency. You don't wait until you're stressed to start breathing better. You train yourself every day. When you wake up, before meetings, before tough conversations, you build the habit so that when stress hits, your body already knows what to do. And here's the real game changer. Pair it with awareness. The next time you feel triggered, before you speak, before you react, pause and breathe. Even just one slow, deep breath before responding can stop you from making a stupid decision. It's not about ignoring your emotions. It's about mastering them. It's about training your mind to stay calm no matter what. Because the more control you have over your breath, the more control you have over your life. The real power comes when you recognize what's happening inside you before it takes over. You need to become an observer of your own emotions instead of being swept away by them. Most people don't do this. They feel something intense, frustration, fear, irritation, and instantly act on it. They lash out, shut down, or let it dictate their next move without even realizing what's happening. But emotions aren't facts. They are signals. They are like alerts popping up in your mind trying to get your attention. The mistake people make is assuming that whatever they feel must be true and must be acted upon immediately. That's how bad decisions happen. That's how you say something you regret or let anxiety control your choices. The key is to step back and name what's going on inside you. Studies show that when you put a label on a feeling, it loses its grip over you. You go from being consumed by it to analyzing it. And the moment you analyze something, you create distance between yourself and the emotion. That distance is power. Let's break this down. Imagine you're in a situation where you suddenly feel overwhelmed. Instead of reacting impulsively, stop and ask yourself, what is this feeling? Is it frustration? Is it disappointment? Is it insecurity? Identifying it is like hitting the brakes before you drive straight into chaos. It shifts you from automatic reaction to conscious control. Once you name it, you go deeper. You ask, why am I feeling this? Is it because of what was said? Or is it because of something deeper? Maybe an old wound, maybe fear of failure, maybe a lack of confidence. Most of the time, the intensity of the emotion isn't just about the moment you're in. It's tied to something bigger. And when you see that, you stop being a puppet to your emotions. Think about how children behave when they're upset. They don't have the ability to step back and analyze their feelings, so they throw tantrums. But adults do this too, just in more socially acceptable ways. They storm out of meetings, they send impulsive texts, they snap at loved ones, all because they let their emotions drive them instead of pausing to understand what's really happening. But the people who stay calm in every situation, they have mastered this. They don't suppress emotions or pretend they don't exist. They see them, name them, and then decide what to do with them. They understand that just because they feel something doesn't mean they have to act on it immediately. This isn't about ignoring your emotions. It's about making sure they don't dictate your actions in a way you'll regret. There's nothing weak about feeling angry, sad, or anxious. But there is strength in acknowledging those emotions without letting them hijack your behavior. One of the most powerful things you can do when you feel something intense is to say it out loud or write it down. Instead of letting it swirl in your mind, putting it into words reduces its power. You move from being lost in the emotion to having control over it. You move from, I am angry to, I feel anger right now. That subtle shift changes everything. When you separate yourself from what you feel, you gain the ability to choose your next step. Instead of reacting in a way you'll regret, you respond in a way that aligns with who you want to be. That's the difference between people who stay composed under pressure and those who let emotions ruin their day. Training yourself to do this takes effort. At first, it might feel unnatural, but over time, it becomes automatic. You start catching yourself before your emotions take over. You start recognizing patterns in how you react. And eventually, you become the kind of person who can face anything without losing control. This is what sets strong, successful people apart. They don't let feelings run their lives. They take charge of their emotions instead of being at their mercy. They stay steady no matter what's happening around them. And because of that, they make better choices, build stronger relationships, and move through life with confidence. The ability to remain steady in difficult moments comes from mastering a simple yet powerful habit, creating separation between impulse and action. Most individuals react instantly, without giving themselves the necessary pause to assess the situation. This instant reaction is what leads to regret, unnecessary conflict, and decisions made from emotion rather than logic. The greatest advantage you can give yourself in any scenario is space. Just a few seconds where you regain control over what happens next. Think about a time when something or someone triggered you. Maybe a coworker said something disrespectful. Maybe a situation didn't go as planned. Maybe an unexpected challenge threw everything off course. Your immediate instinct was probably to defend yourself, argue, or express frustration. But what if, in that brief moment before responding, you allowed a pause to exist? What if, instead of letting that initial surge dictate your words or actions, you introduced space between what happened and what you did next? That space is everything. It's where clarity lives. It's where you transition from being controlled by circumstances to actively shaping your response. Without it, reactions happen without thought, and you risk making choices that do not serve you. With it, you regain authority over yourself and your decisions. Creating this intentional gap doesn't require extraordinary skill, it requires discipline. It starts with catching yourself in real time, that moment when you feel the rush of frustration, when your heart rate changes, when your body tenses. That's your signal. Instead of responding immediately, recognize the trigger and let silence enter the moment. Silence is powerful. It forces you to slow down. It prevents unnecessary escalation. It allows you to evaluate whether your initial instinct is the right one or just the loudest. The people who seem unshakable in the face of pressure aren't naturally wired that way. They've trained themselves to hold back for a beat before taking action. This practice applies to every interaction, every challenge, every single moment where tension arises. Imagine standing in a heated discussion. Your emotions flare and words form in your mind that you're about to unleash. But instead of speaking right away, you pause. You breathe. You let a few seconds pass before choosing what to say. That short delay can mean the difference between deepening a conflict and resolving it. It's not just about avoiding negative reactions. It's also about giving yourself the opportunity to make a more effective choice. Often, the first thought you have in a stressful situation is not the best one. Acting on impulse can mean missing a smarter, calmer, more strategic response. Giving yourself space allows better ideas, better solutions, and better perspectives to emerge. This habit extends beyond words. Consider decision making. When faced with an unexpected problem, some rush to fix it immediately, driven by discomfort rather than wisdom. But those who pause, take a step back, and analyze before acting are the ones who make the best choices. They don't just react, they respond with intention. Training yourself to do this consistently requires practice. At first, it feels unnatural to hold back when every part of you wants to react. But the more you implement this, the easier it becomes. You start catching yourself before emotions dictate your choices. You start recognizing that instant reactions are often the least effective, and over time you become someone who approaches every situation with control rather than chaos. The world around you will always throw challenges your way. People will say things that trigger you, situations will arise that test your patience, unexpected difficulties will show up when you least expect them. But none of that has to determine how you respond. The moment you introduce space between stimulus and reaction, you take back your power. You stop being someone who is controlled by the outside world and start being someone who navigates it with strength and certainty. Mastering control over reactions creates a foundation for how challenges are approached, but the next step is shifting focus entirely. The mind naturally drifts toward what's wrong, what feels unfair, and what should have happened differently. This tendency is deeply ingrained because survival instincts prioritize identifying threats. However, staying in that mindset only deepens frustration and creates unnecessary emotional weight. The key to maintaining composure is directing energy toward what can actually be changed rather than staying trapped in the loop of dwelling on problems. Consider a moment when frustration took over. Maybe something didn't unfold as expected, or an outcome felt completely out of control. In those situations, it's easy to get stuck replaying what went wrong, analyzing how unfair it was, or wishing it had happened differently. But what does that accomplish? Absolutely nothing. No amount of anger, complaining, or dwelling on the issue changes reality. In fact, it does the opposite. It keeps attention locked on something that can't be undone, wasting mental energy that could be used for finding a way forward. Redirecting focus toward solutions isn't about ignoring difficulties or pretending things don't matter. It's about refusing to give power to things outside of control. When something unexpected happens, two choices exist: get consumed by frustration or shift attention toward what comes next. Those who stay calm consistently make the second choice. They refuse to waste time on things that drain them. Instead, they immediately ask what can be done. That simple question shifts everything. It moves energy from helplessness to action. It forces the brain to stop spiraling and start problem solving. There is always something that can be done. Even in situations that feel completely out of control, there is still a choice in how to respond. Maybe that means adapting to a new plan, adjusting expectations, or approaching things differently. Maybe it means walking away from something that isn't working. The key is recognizing that staying locked in negativity serves no purpose. The sooner attention shifts toward the next step, the faster stress loses its grip. Some people argue that venting about problems is necessary, and while acknowledging feelings is important, there's a fine line between processing emotions and letting them dictate behavior. The difference is in duration. A few minutes of frustration is human. Hours, days, or even weeks spent fixating on something that cannot be changed is self-sabotage. Those who stay calm recognize this distinction. They allow themselves a brief moment to acknowledge their emotions, then they pivot. They do not allow their thoughts to spiral in ways that don't serve them. This approach is especially powerful in interactions with others. Conflict, misunderstandings, and unexpected challenges will always happen. The way they are handled determines the outcome. If focus remains on what went wrong or who is to blame, nothing improves. If the first instinct is finding a solution rather than feeding the problem, everything shifts. People who operate this way don't just navigate challenges more effectively, they gain the respect of those around them. They are seen as level-headed, reliable, and someone who can handle pressure without losing control. Training the brain to automatically search for solutions takes practice. It starts with catching unproductive thoughts in real time. Whenever frustration starts creeping in, pause and ask, is this thought helping or hurting? If the answer is that it's keeping attention stuck on what went wrong, redirect immediately. Consciously shift gears toward what can be done instead of what should have been different. Over time, this rewires the brain. It stops defaulting to frustration and starts automatically looking for action. The result is a sense of control, even in moments that seem unpredictable. Life will never be free from setbacks, but there will always be a choice in how to handle them. That choice determines everything: how stress is managed, how challenges are overcome, and ultimately how life is lived.